Most things that grow don't actually scale. In modern business and media, these two ideas are often treated as interchangeable. Growth is celebrated as proof of health. We look at charts moving upward and assume durability follows. But growth and scale are not the same mechanism. Growth increases output. By increasing effort, scale increases outcomes. By reducing friction, confusing the two leads many professionals to build systems that look impressive in the short term, but remain fragile over time. If you don't understand the distinction, you may be expanding activity while quietly limiting resilience. In the creator economy and in modern organizations, activity is often mistaken for progress. Rising view counts, busier calendars, more inbound requests. These signals feel like success, but in most cases, this is simply growth. Growth is linear. It is driven by more. More effort produces more output. More hours produce more results. More posting produces more reach. Growth is visible and demanding. It requires sustained energy to maintain, and it adds weight to the system over time. Scale works differently. Scale is the ability to achieve equal or greater outcomes with less friction. It is the separation of results. From constant effort, it is the shift. From labor to leverage. When you grow, operations become heavier. When you scale, operations become lighter. Most professionals are not failing because they lack ambition. They are struggling because they are carrying the weight of growth without the relief of scale. To build a resilient, media-first brand, it's important to identify what does not scale. Hustle without structure. If progress depends on waking earlier, working longer, or pushing harder, the system is constrained by human capacity. Energy is finite. Systems are not. A model that requires you to be the engine for every outcome will eventually stall. Visibility without ownership. Attention that lives entirely on platforms you do not control is rented, not owned. Each algorithmic shift resets the rules. Each change demands renewed effort, simply to maintain position. This creates movement, but not leverage. Manual decision-making for repeatable work. If every action requires your individual approval, every post, every interaction, every transaction, you have become the bottleneck. Consistency without direction does not compound. It circulates effort without advancing position. A simple test applies here. If a system requires more of you, every time it runs, it isn't scaling. So what does scale look like? It rarely looks exciting. It often appears administrative. But it functions as leverage. Systems that replace effort, clear processes that allow work to continue with minimal friction. Documented workflows that survive personnel changes. Protocols that remove dependence on individual energy. Ownership of critical assets. Scale depends on owning the ground you operate on. Intellectual property. Direct distribution. Channels that do not require constant re-permission to access your audience. An email list scales because the cost of reaching 10 people or 10,000 remains the same. A rented audience does not. Decisions that reduce future decisions. True scale is created when a decision about brand voice, infrastructure, or structure removes the need to revisit that choice repeatedly. Scale is not luck. It is not a moment. It is designed. It emerges when dependency is replaced with ownership. This distinction between growth and scale runs through the entire series. It explains why systems mattered in episode 1. Without them, effort becomes the ceiling. It explains why virality collapsed in episode 2. Because attention without structure cannot be held. It explains Why consistency stalled in episode 3? Because repetition without leverage remains labor, and it explains why ownership mattered. In episode 4, because scale cannot exist on rented ground. The goal is not to build impressive structures that trap effort. The goal is to build systems that support sovereignty. Stop optimizing for numbers that look impressive. Start evaluating whether the mechanics underneath can endure. What scales isn't what demands more of you, it's what continues to work. When you step away, if it lasts, without increasing dependency on your time, that is scale.